So Tarot of Persephone's Garden is one of these decks in my practice that has made an above average impact, I would say, in terms of the depths of the readings and being able to untangle and get deeper into things with the cards. So when I found out that Kara was coming out with a new edition of the Chthonic Tarot of Persephone's Garden, I was very excited. She's made some really neat changes, so I'm going to do a comparison with the previous edition and the new edition. And whether or not you work with Persephone, I think this is an amazing deck to use the imagery and the associations with it, the myths, within the wheelhouse of Greek mythology to get a deeper reading. So anyway, let's get flipped around and we'll look at the differences. Okay, so first things first, let's see if I have a lighter to light our candle. Unfortunately, this candle maker is not making candles anymore. I'm kind of bummed about it, but using my candles very intentionally. At any rate, so on the right side here, we have the original Chthonic edition. I think it was. I think this was the original Chthonic. I don't think she did 2 print runs of it like this before this one. But she wasn't planning to print anymore, so the new edition is exciting because of the changes, and then also because it's another opportunity to get the deck if you haven't, or if you're kind of cuckoo like me and enjoy having multiples of decks that you love, because this is a deck that is near and dear to my heart. So first thing, the extra cards that come with it are a little different. This is the card that came with the original Chthonic edition, and this is the new card, which has an Orphic hymn to Persephone on it, which is nice because it makes it useful to pull it out. I think on the original box, was it the same one? I think it's a different Orphic hymn is on the back of the box for the original. In the new deck, it's on a separate card, and the new box is like this. It has a seal on it. I did open it from the bottom for now, but I might break the seal eventually because I sort of don't love opening from the bottom, because over time then this gets kind of weaker, and when you go to pick up the deck, sometimes cards come out, and I don't want that to happen. But I just wasn't ready to break the seal quite yet. But yeah, the new edition has the beautiful rose on the back. You can see it is the 2025 edition. It also comes with a card that has all of her links, and on the back is a link or a URL to go open the guidebook. So I won't flip that over, but just so you know, that's there. And the guidebook kind of is reference to all the artwork and the intention it was chosen for, that kind of a thing. Which, I have to say, one of the things that I adore most about these decks, any of her decks, is the way that so often the artwork chosen and what's being represented there ties in beautifully as another additional layer to add on to cards. It's all very intentional, and I've appreciated that and got a depth out of readings with these decks that I haven't in others. It just is a unique experience with them. So as you can see, the new edition has the border, but what's cool or extra cool about it is she did this detail where when it's fitting, part of the image kind of is bursting forth off the border or into the border. I love the effect of this, and I can't wait to pull a spread and see how it all looks as a spread, because having the image kind of coming alive out of the border is an interesting experience to add into things. And I would say, I think most of the cards are the same artwork. This one you get more of the full visual beneath her feet. But especially in the majors, most of them are the same. But again, that detail where you have images that are popping over is so cool. So this is the first change. Of course, my screen just went black, but I'm pretty sure I remember this is actually artwork of Persephone and Hades, which my understanding is it's pretty hard to find, or especially of Hades, because he was not often depicted, given the nature of who he is. I kind of still love the original lovers. This is not Hades and Persephone. This is, let's see if I can pull out the guidebook for this deck. This is Helios and Rhodes. But it still has very Hades and Persephone. You know, you could make it in your own mind as Hades and Persephone, same kind of situation. So I'm a little partial to this artwork just because I love this image. And the art style of this is a little different, but it is actually a depiction of Hades and Persephone when she's departing. A chariot is the same as his strength. And again, this really cool and unique, because I don't think I've seen this anywhere else, this unique idea of the image coming past the border and kind of bursting through the frame, coming alive in that way, is really neat to me. Justice is another one where we have a change, and let me see if I can pull up those two. So the first one is Circe offering the cup to Ulysses, is the painting name. And it very much has justice energy in the composition and positioning. The new image is actually an artwork titled The Allegory of Justice, which is of Themis, the Greek goddess of justice. So, in a sense, more appropriate, although both images are beautiful, this is like very tied in with justice because of that. Death, one of my favorites. Temperance. This is another really cool one. So let's see. The new temperance is the spring of, you're going to have to forgive me if some of my pronunciation is wrong, but Leith or Leth, one of the 5 rivers of the underworld. I still need to get better at knowing all of them. It's the river of forgetfulness, the threshold of conscious and unconscious. So that's a really neat interpretation. Also, I want a poster of this. This is so gorgeous. I would love to have this artwork on the wall. The original Temperance is titled Jason and Medea, which is Medea mixing a magical potion for Jason, which ties in with the alchemical thing. So both images work beautifully, but this is a really cool new image, and I love that artwork. I love both of them. But and then the devil, the tower. I love these details of the images popping off of into the border. It's just so, I don't know. I think when they get laid out in a spread, it's going to make it feel a different degree of alive in an interesting way. So I'm curious to see. With the star, we have another change. So the old one, or the original one, the morning star, which is a fairy flying with a starlit wand, very fitting for the star, very beautiful card. This really feels like that chthonic energy to me more so. It's like a neat way to have a dark star card. And it's titled Death and the Maiden, which is very cool. I'm not going to go through this and be picking favorites because I really love both of them, unless like there's maybe 1 or 2 cards where I prefer what's in this deck, but I like that there are changes, you know, between just the aesthetic of the border, but then also some of the cards being switched out. I'm so curious to see when those cards get pulled out, what that's going to be like in readings. So for the moon card, the original is Titania sleeping in moonlight, which is very fitting for the moon. And then the new card is Nyx, goddess of the night, and a very, very beautiful image. Oh, I'm so excited. Sun card has stayed the same. I love this card for the Sun card. It's Persephone emerging from the underworld in like raw, like in her full authentic expression. I love that. Judgment card, one of my favorite Judgment cards. This is another one where I'd love the artwork. And then the World. I didn't notice so much with these other cards, but sometimes there's a little color difference. Like this one is a lot more green, whereas this is like a mossy green that's brighter green. So there's some differences like that, which could just be, you know, printing batch to batch of things can affect that as well. If the Ace of Wands has stayed the same, the Two of Wands has changed, and I think outside the majors, I'm not going to go through the artwork individually, looking it up in the guidebook, because it will take forever. But both of these both have the same kind of energy of contemplating or deciding. And the Three of Wands, very cool change. This one is more the atmosphere of Three of Wands, where this one is like the active scene to me. So it's an interesting difference. It's beautiful. Four of Wands has stayed the same. And the Five. I love this Five of Wands. Six of Wands is the same. The Seven, and this, I don't know if it's every card, but so many cards when I have dove into the artwork and either what story or myth they're tied to just tie into the card meaning in such a really interesting, specific way. This Eight of Wands might be one I want to look up because I don't think I looked up the difference with these, and I'm just curious. All right, so the original is the Flight of Boreas with Orithia. You know, a girl being taken away. And then the Eight of Wands in the new deck is Love in Autumn. The chill of autumn wind embraces Eros. Seasons changing, coming in quickly kind of energy. Very cool. The Nine of Wands. 10 of Wands. The Maiden. And then another change in the deck is in the previous, our knights were priestesses, and in the new edition, they are seekers. I like both, but I think I might like seeker as the word better. Very cool change of imagery. Also definitely gives me Knight of Wands in both. Queen of Wands, one of my favorites. Again, just these tiny little details sometimes of something peeking off the border. Looks so cool. I just think it's unique and a neat change. So this is the only ace that has changed. And this might be the one where I was very partial to this one because as a Cancer baby, I just love the idea of this pearlescent shell and all this abundance coming out of it type thing. But this is equally a beautiful Ace of Cups, that offering of libations. And our Two of Cups. And one character peeking over the border. That's so cool. Three of Cups. Four of Cups. Both kind of have that despondent energy. I might feel it more with this one because you see her expression so much. But I feel it as well in this one. And the artwork is stunning. Five of Cups, one of my favorites. This is one of the cards that came up in my first reading I did with this deck. That was like crazy intense. Like I spent a couple weeks reflecting on that reading and leaving it out because I might have been not quite a couple weeks, I don't know, but at least a week, I remember. And another one of those cards was the Seven of Cups, so I'm actually really happy it's the same because this was one of the first cards where leaning into the myth and story, because this is Psyche entering Cupid's garden, just opened up a whole world of meaning of what message was trying to come through to me. And being able to delve into that, because not only did this card come up as kind of like a central point of the first reading I did, but it continued to come up in my work with her earlier this year with Persephone. And the layers of it, man, the layers of it is just a whole thing. I was at one point contemplating doing a video just on Seven of Cups and this idea of discernment and the myth of Psyche and all of that playing in. And it also, I realized once I went deeper into the myth of this and Psyche's story, how much it tied into work I was previously doing with Artemis and the last story that I left off with work with her. So it was all like tying into these multifaceted ways. Even this, like, there's just this little bit of hair that's peeking off into the border, and I love that. I think that's so cool. Nine of Cups, both of these to me work beautifully. 10 of Cups. Every now and again, the contrast seems a little different. This one seems a little bit more contrasted. But again, I don't know, that could be a printing thing. Maiden of Cups. I'm so partial to this one. I love this for Maiden of Cups. But this one's really cool too. Yeah, that'll be interesting to see how it plays out. And then Priestess of Cups. I love the Suit of Cups in this edition a lot. But this will be interesting to dig into what artwork it is and what story it's telling, everything else like that. Because I'm not sure they are as much in these ones. I'd have to double check. They weren't cards that came up as much, although this one did. Queen of Cups, beautiful. Again, you get more of the fuller image, whereas this is cropped in a bit more. And then our King of Cups, both Dionysus, but different scenes. And this is where that Ace of Cups came from. So it's still in here, it's just in a different card. Pretty neat. Ace of Swords. Two of Swords. The 3. 4. The 5s in this deck are so good. 5 of Swords. 6 of Swords, yet another artwork I would love to have framed. 7. 8 of Swords, I love this image for 8 of Swords. And I kind of like that not every card has the peeking over the border thing, because I mean, first of all, I see that it wouldn't work with every image, but also I think then it might be a little too much. It's kind of neat to have it sprinkled in, I think. Our Maiden, and then we have the change here. Priestess of Swords with this image versus Seeker of Swords with this other image, and both work very well for me as Knight of Swords energy. Queen of Swords, again, I love both of these. They kind of show a different facet or feel a different, yeah, it just feels like a different facet between the two of Queen of Swords. This one's very guarding, and this one's it's also guarding, but it's like looking over your shoulder energy. Like, I love that. Our King of Swords with Hermes. And then we have the Ace of Coins. It's another one where the coloration looks a little different. This one's more vibrant and punchy. Oh, it looks so good. I love it with the border, actually. I love both. Four of Coins. Persephone herself. You know, with autumn around the corner, I'm really feeling like coming back to this deck because I've been using Deathly Flowers and I love it. But somehow that does feel like the summer empowered Persephone, whereas this really feels autumn descent, chthonic energy. 8 of Coins, I love that this one, she's actually active in the craft, because this one, the figure is kind of stationary, and she's at a loom, so it still is 8 of coins energy, but I love this. It looks like she's in the zone, you know, she's in the flow state, and I can see that with the 8 of coins very well. 2 beautiful 9 of coins, both of them. And then we have our 10, slightly different there. Our maiden, seeker of coins. It's another one where the contrast seems a little different, a little deeper here than here. Queen of coins, and this was the 7 in the original or previous edition. Now it's the queen. I really love that. I definitely see her fitting the Queen of Wands. And I guess did I skip the 7? What the heck? Because I meant to say something about it. Yeah, so with the 7, which I won't pull out the other one, it was originally this image. I really like this image. This is very relaxed and still I can pull that energy from it. But I think I like this image quite a lot. And then King of Coins. And this is meant to be Hades. I don't think it is. I think it's his brother. Pretty sure. But anyway, those are the cards. The differences between them, what has changed. This is such a gorgeous new edition of it. I'm very excited to work with it. The only thing I would say, they're otherwise pretty identical. There is something slightly with the cardstock that I'm like, what's different? But I can't put my finger on it because they weigh the same, they feel the same. Something seems ever so slightly different just when I look at the... I don't know what it is. Maybe it's because this one's, you know, been worked a lot. Could just be that. But I was thinking, for some reason, I feel more called to edge this one. Am I crazy? I think I'm a little crazy. But it just would be really neat to have this color carry over, but I don't know what would be good to use with this kind of a linen finish deck on these edges. So, I mean, one of the things I like to use are these Versa Magic ink pads because they're chalk ink and it really does give, let's see, I have this deck that's edged with the chalk ink and it feels like a really professional edging. And it also stays on so well. This needs a second coat and some touch-ups. But so that would be neat, but I don't think I have a color that quite matches this. I wonder if this does. Because that would be the ink pad I have here. But see, that leans a little more purple. I would want it to be burgundy. So I don't know. If anyone has ideas or has edged a deck like this kind of cardstock, and has tips, let me know. Do we shuffle it? Finally ready to shuffle it? I hope this video went well and I don't feel the need to re-record it because putting a deck into order is not my favorite thing. But yeah, shuffle's the same. Beautiful linen. I only went a few times there, but let's see what kind of welcoming message comes through. I still have to consecrate it and everything, but nonetheless, what message wants to come through? What card? Seeker of Coins. Diligent work towards independence. Nice. Oh, they're going to look neat in a spread. Oh, I love. Isn't that pretty? I don't know. Usually I'm not a border person, but I really dig this. So yeah, that I think about wraps this up. Just wanted to show how it kind of looks in a spread. I'm not going to do pairings because I kind of have that with the other edition somewhere in a video. My winter practice videos posted before this, I think, cover pairings that I like in working with the previous edition of this deck, and I imagine they would all still apply. And also I think it was the second video in those 2-part videos, I talk about practice if you kind of want to see that and see how I, at least at that point in time, was working with the decks together. I will be very curious to see how it all unfolds with this one. Oh, I just love it. I love having also kind of a backup edition because I have one edition of that, and Tarot of the Huntress, which is my other beloved deck from her. I have a backup of that one, and then Kara was also so kind to send me the second edition of that, which I unfortunately did not make a video to compare them, and then it sold out. So but I know, with the type of decks that I'm going to be working with a lot, over who knows how long, 10 years or whatever they will wear. So I kind of like having a backup, and it's also cool to have a different edition that has some changes. I'll be very curious to see how they read differently, and I don't know, maybe they will lend themselves to pair a bit differently also because of the border. But it just looks so beautiful and so autumn. That burgundy border just, the Chthonic edition already was pretty autumn leaning in the feel of it, but this just kind of takes it up a notch, I think, as far as that goes. So I'm going to leave it there, I think. I'll put links to her shop below. I think she's releasing them in batches. There was some issue with the initial shipment of decks that is getting fixed, and I think probably by the time I post this, that's pretty much kind of sorted out and whatnot. But I think she's releasing them in batches on her Etsy. So I'll link that and everything below. And yeah, I think that's, since my little break off of here, that's my last kind of walkthrough type video that I really wanted to do and get out, this one and these blue bones. And now I can kind of get back into practice or reflection or whatever type videos. So thank you for watching. I hope it was helpful to see a comparison of the previous and the new edition. I hope you have a lovely day, evening, or whatever it is by you, and I will catch you in the next one.